can live, you can laugh, you can love. Life with SuJay. Oh, 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 oh.
Welcome to Black Women in Ministry. This is Live with SuJay. It's a show that I've been doing for a few years now. But for Black History Month, we are so excited, ignited, delighted, because I'm here with my sisters, my soul sisters, real soul sisters, not just because we're African American and share that culture, but because we're also Christian ministers of the gospel. And it's a group that has not been highlighted a lot in the headlines, but I can tell you they are game changers. These are wonderful women. And I'm so delighted to have with me today Dr. Caretha Crawford, Dr. Frances Tony Draper, and Dr. Prelo, Xavier Prelo, all women from the DMV area who are leading not only congregations, but they're transforming lives and they're making their impact with legacy and leadership. And so we're excited to have them. So let's just begin. Welcome to the Live with SuJay, and thank you for being part of the Black Women in Ministry program. We have been blessed by the Lilly Endowment to have the Black Women in Ministry Thrive Initiative. In fact, we call it the Real Black Women in Ministry Thrive Initiative. And REAL stands for relationships, equipping and expanding and exposing, access and altitude, and leadership development and legacy. So I'm going to begin with you, Dr. Draper. Thank you for coming and being with us today. Legacy and leadership, you've got the combination of both. You have 5 generations of leading the Afro media now, communications, and you are also a pastor. Talk to us about why legacy is important.
First of all, thank you so much. I'm loving being here with my sisters. And believe it or not, we did not coordinate these colors. This just so happened. So that shows how closely aligned we are.
Yes.
Legacy is really important. All of us are creating some kind of legacy. Whether we are intentional about it, which I hope we are, or not, we're creating some kind of legacy. And so my great-grandfather back in 1892 began a legacy through something that he called the Afro-American newspaper, which, by the way, the name Afro was already in existence in 1892. So he bought the name and the printing press at an auction. And you'll appreciate this, Ambassador. He purchased it with $200 that he borrowed, the women of the family say, and the men of the family say that he was given this $200 by my great-grandmother Martha. But nonetheless, he began this and started a whole legacy. And so I am 4th generation, but actually there are 6th generation family members who are involved in the business. So legacy is important. I say to people, it's never too late to start your own legacy. If you don't have what we have, which is a deep legacy, it has to start somewhere.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm a 3rd generation Black woman business owner. So it started with my parents and then the parents before them. And so, we had farmers, and then my grandmother was a stylist and a seamstress before they had the fancy names for it. And then my late parents started Johnson Security Bureau, which is now in 4th generation hands. And so it's awesome to own. So Caretha, Dr. Caretha Crawford, welcome to our show. Tell me why legacy is important to you, because you're doing a lot also, but why is legacy important?
First of all, I want to say thank you so much. I'm so proud to be a part of this global Black women Chamber of Commerce. And thank you so much for your vision, Ambassador SuJay. Legacy means so much to me because I just think so much about the generations that are coming behind. I want them to know what it is that their family members were able to achieve, where we came from, and where we are going. And that's the only way that they will really know what it is, where they're picking up the baton, where we got started, because my father started off as a farmer, and he was also had his own business called Franks and Sons, rug cleaning of carpet business. And my mother was an entrepreneur, a businesswoman. Before she started having children, she had her own beauty salon. And so I come from that background of business. And so business is just in my blood. And I want those nieces and nephews and those that are come behind to know where we came from, and the world at large to know our story.
So you and Dr. Draper are part of the Global Black Women's Chamber of Commerce, but you're also part of the Black Women in Ministry Thrive Initiative. So you have two legacy movements going as well as your own private businesses. But Dr. Prelo, you came into the Black Women in Ministry Thrive Initiative. We were so glad we met walking down on the wharf in DC. You found me and I found you, and we were so glad to see each other. So you are in the Presbyterian Church. Is it the USA Presbyterian Church of the USA?
Yeah, it's
Give us the right title.
Yeah, it's Presbyterian Church USA, and this question of legacy is such a timely question. Really honored to be a part of this network of women thriving and continuing to thrive in ministry as we shape another generation of women leaders in ministry. But legacy is how I live my life every day. My grandmother migrated from rural South Carolina to Jersey City, New Jersey, where I was born and raised. But story is so important, and so I live my life through a Sankofa theology, which is a Ghanaian term that means in order to understand our present and move forward in our future, we must know from whence we've come. And so whether I'm in a classroom teaching my students at Bowie State University or continuing to nurture the group of disciples at 15th Street Presbyterian Church in our nation's capital through their faith journey, knowing that we've come a long way. So faith and history is every day two sides of the same coin, and the God of our weary years and the God of our present realities is what continues to thrive me. And so lifting up the heritage of our faith and lifting up the experiences of Black people all throughout the diaspora is what drives me every day, and being able to share so that others may be encouraged from our social media witness is part of the legacy that I leave today and in the future.
Well, you're going to be part of our social media witness too. We're so delighted and excited to have you. You're going to be on all of our social platforms. But, you know, my mother was an elder in the Presbyterian Church for 40 years. So I was actually confirmed Presbyterian, converted to Baptist because my dad was Baptist, and then was really anointed and really called to ministry in an AME church. So I got all the traditions going. You know, but it's awesome. So we talked about legacy. I want to just talk about your ministries. I mean, you shared about 15th Street Presbyterian Church, but Dr. Draper, tell us about where you're pastoring, how long you've been there, and what's important for you to leave his legacy there.
This year, I will celebrate 19 years as pastor of the Freedom Temple African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church in South Baltimore, in a small community called Lakeland. You know, Baltimore is a city of neighborhoods and communities. Everyone has their own name, and so ours is Lakeland. The AME Zion Church is a historic denomination, better known as the Freedom Church. It was the church of Sojourner Douglas, the church of Harriet Tubman, the church of Frederick. I said Frederick Douglass already, right? Sojourner Truth, Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman. And so the AME Zion Church, like the AME Church, came out of the Methodist Episcopal Church because of the racist practices there. For example, our preachers couldn't preach, but in the afternoon, our babies were baptized last. We took communion last if there was communion left. And so we pulled out from the St. John Church over 200 years ago and formed the AME Zion Church. And we are still the Freedom Church today. And so we know that we have the Bible in one hand and the sword, which is still the Bible, sword of the word in the other hand, but we are still speaking out against injustices within the context of the gospel. So our particular church in South Baltimore, we're very, very involved in the community. And so the pandemic, for example, has not slowed our ministry. Our ministry was not within the four walls. And so we are continuing to do ministry and continuing to speak truth to power and continuing to stand up for the oppressed and those who cannot speak for themselves.
Interestingly enough, John Street United Methodist Church, where your church was really birthed out of, and they left and moved to Harlem, we were doing a wonderful Wall Street Wednesday service at lunchtime, and they have the history there that, you know, the AME Zion Church began here. So it's wonderful how the world's all kind of come back together, but you departed because we weren't being treated right. And that's kind of what has really thrust us into all the leadership roles that we have. Dr. Crawford, tell us the pastorate that you're serving and what's kind of the stamp of your ministry? Like, what's your signature?
I am the pastor and apostolic leader of the Gateway to Wholeness Church Ministries in Largo, Maryland. I am the founding pastor of that church. As a matter of fact, I was set apart as a pastor after being the first woman to be licensed and ordained at the Maple Springs Baptist Church in Capitol Heights, Maryland.
Yeah.
So this was a big thing for that Baptist church to set me apart as a pastor. Our mission is rebuilding broken lives through the power of Jesus Christ. We find that we have a lot of people that come to us that are just broken.
Yeah.
They and need a restoration. So we walk them through that process of becoming whole. So that's a lot of what we do. We reach really around the world because we do a lot of ministry. I used to do a lot of traveling, just going here and there, just being called to go to Africa, England, Switzerland, a number of places I would go to minister to the word. And so our signature is really rebuilding broken lives, because
Awesome.
people do come to us that need restoration.
That's awesome. And so now we're just going to bring the world to us. If we can't go to the world, we got to bring the world to us. And so technology is our new friend. Pastor Prelo,
Yes.
Presbyterian Church. Tell me kind of about your ministry, how long you've been there. What's your signature?
15th Street Presbyterian Church was founded in 1841, and I have the distinct honor of being the first Black woman female to pastor this beloved congregation. We are the first and oldest predominantly African American Presbyterian church founded in our nation's capital, and we have exist in almost 180 years with a strong commitment to education and social and civic justice. Many of our former pastors were ardent race leaders of the time. Reverend Henry Highland Garnett and Reverend Francis Grimke both were pastors during critical junctures of our nation's push for social equality. And so to pastor this beloved congregation, I inherited a pastoral mantle with many who have gone on ahead to pave the way. But the people of 15th Street are very active in government, education, nonprofit work, certainly fraternities and sororities, but it's a beloved community of faith with generations of Presbyterians who have worshiped there. But we also are an incubator of organizations founded in our nation's capital in DC. The first public and African American high school was founded in the basement of our congregation. We're about a mile away from Howard University, and we continue to support the legacy and mantle of educational equality of opportunity, and social justice. And so it's a beloved community, a beloved congregation, and we continue to bear witness to what it means to be a community of faith in our nation's capital. So I'm honored, really honored to serve with the people of faith in this context. So the best is yet to come.
All of you. I'm learning so much about all of you today. I mean, just powerful ministries, powerful witness, and wonderful women. We're going to take a break, but if this is your first time or even your second time joining us, you're on Live with SuJay, and for Black History Month, we're honoring the Black women in ministry internationally, but specifically in the Black Women in Ministry Thrive Initiative funded by the Lilly Endowment. We are so excited to have you today. We're going to take a short break, but if you have not yet, please subscribe. Press that little button that says subscribe. Give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. We love to hear from you. This is Live with SuJay, Black Women in Ministry for Black History Month. We'll be right back. Hey, thank you for joining us. You know, COVID is a tough time and a lot of people are feeling the pressure of stress of life. But I have a book that I think will be a blessing to you. It's called Too Blessed to Be Stressed. And the subtitle is Words of Wisdom for Women on the Move, but it's also for men on the move. And it's scriptural steps to bouncing back from burnout. I encourage you to get it. It's still a bestseller some 10 years later. You can get it on Amazon or wherever books are sold online. But Too Blessed to Be Stressed. I want you to know you are too blessed to be stressed. And so please obtain a copy. I hope it will be a blessing to you. Hey, Black Women in Ministry. It's an exciting time, Black History Month, and throughout the year, we're always going to be Black women in ministry. So I want to commend to you a book from Judson Press. It's called The Sister's Guide to Survive and Thrive in Ministry. Words of wisdom from my 40 plus years in Christian ministry. Lessons I learned, things that I wish I could have had coming along the way. It's a short read, but it's a powerful read. And it has a foreword by Bishop Vashti McKenzie. So I'd love for you to get a copy of it. It's called The Sister's Guide to Survive and Thrive in Ministry. And it's also a sponsor for today. So thank you, and I hope you get it, and I hope it will be a blessing to you. And this program is being brought to you today by Too Blessed to Be Stressed, the book that everyone's reading, and also the Sister's Guide to Survive and Thrive in Ministry, Judson Press. And we're also happy to be funded by the Lilly Endowment, partly funded by the Lilly Endowment for this particular series. And so we're delighted to have you back with us. If you're just joining us, I'm Ambassador SuJay Johnson-Cook, and I am the grant writer and now the director of the Lilly Endowment's Real Black Women in Ministry Thrive initiative. We're partnering with the Union Baptist Church in Harlem, which is my home church. And so I'm excited. Let's talk about home. Let's talk about home beginnings in terms of your ministry. Like, when did you know you were called? Like, when did you know, like, this was your life's work and the God called it to you? So Dr. Draper, kind of give me like your 2-second pitch. When did you know God called you?
My 2-second pitch, I knew it like around 30 years ago. And at that time, I was in the marketplace doing other things. And when God called me into ministry, I was almost like the woman at the well, you know, dropping everything to pursue this calling on my life right at the time that our daughter was planning her wedding. And she was like, Mom, you know, you're not going to be working. What are you going to be doing? So when I was called into ministry, it wasn't into the pastorate. It was into the evangelistic ministry. And like Pastor Crawford, I was traveling all over the place. And my daughter says, you mean you're going to stop working now as we're trying to pay for this wedding? I said, God's got the wedding. I've got to do what God says. And so that's when it started about 30 years ago.
Awesome. Dr. Crawford, when did you know you were called? Or when did you answer the call too?
Oh, now that's a different question.
Yeah, so give me kind of
I didn't answer the call until 1988. I was 37 years old, and the Lord had been pursuing me for a long time. And I had been running for a long time. But I had a brother that was killed working. And that's what brought me to my knees. And I said to the Lord, wherever you want me to go, I will go. Whatever you want me to do, I would do. Whatever you want me to say, I would say, under one condition, that you go with me. Amen. And from that day forward, in April 1988, I have been preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ.
I love it. I love it. Now, Dr. Fralo, my first female minister I ever met was a Presbyterian preacher, the late Dr. Katie Cannon, who was my big sister. I mean, I miss her so much. Womanist theologian, just brilliant. But I knew at 13 when I met her that there was something within me that said I was going to be doing that. Yes. But it wasn't until 23, that 10 years later, that I accepted the call. What happened for you, and who was it that inspired you to accept the call to ministry?
Amen. I was 25 years old, having finished my first master's degree in education at the University of Illinois, and was very active in movements on campus, but always felt called to the church. And my undergrad was at Drew University, where I was nurtured in a Baptist church. So I grew up Baptist under Reverend Dr. Jerry C. Carter, Morristown, New Jersey. But I was worshiping at the time at the University of Illinois at a Pentecostal congregation. And so answered the call of God at 25. Thought it was a call to only the academy. I didn't know then that it was a call to ebb and flow between the church and academy. But the narrative of becoming a Presbyterian pastor, was an associate minister for about 10 years. But I remember doing research at the Presbyterian Historical Society and looking at all these pictures of schools and churches that the Presbyterian Church had founded for African Americans in the South coming out of Reconstruction and Emancipation. But fast forward, took my first faculty appointment at at Augusta State University and felt called to seminary, and ultimately got a full tuition scholarship to a Presbyterian seminary. At the time was worshiping at a historic Baptist congregation in Augusta, Georgia. And really the sky just became the limit. I began to pastor a small rural church in Columbia, South Carolina. And this evolution of pastoring in a Presbyterian faith and doing historical scholarship on the witness of Presbyterian pastors. But even then, I've been nurtured by a long generation of Black women ministers. I bumped into you, Ambassador SuJay, in Southwest DC, but had read those two books you just mentioned, Too Blessed to Be Stressed, during my first year of graduate school. And at the same time, I remember witnessing Dr. Jasmine Schoolark preaching, and so it was interesting to come to DC and be able to interact with both you and Dr. Jazz, and who have been very influential in my ministry. So sometimes mentors you observe from afar, but God aligns your path at the right moment, and they become important nurturers along the journey. So this right here is a divine full circle moment for me.
Wow, that is so powerful. So let's talk about the multi-dimensionality, because a lot of people just think all we do is just preach and go home and it's over and we come back and we preach again. But Deborah, who was the first female prophetess, who was also a judge, who was also married, was multi-dimensional, and she was awesome. I mean, the Bible records her as being a leader in the faith.
Yes.
Let's talk some human stuff. Like, if I were to ask you, who are you? Who are you? And so, of course, we can't take an hour to do this, but who are you, Dr. Tony Draper?
You know what? That's a great question. So many hats and so many roles. I'm glad you brought up Deborah. I am a wife. I am a mother. I am a daughter. I'm a grandmother. I'm a godmother. I'm a pastor. I am a teacher. I'm an apostle. I am a mentor. I am an overseer, by the way, for a very large non-African American congregation in our area. I am a compassionate person who, when I put my mind and heart into something, I go all the way for it. So I'm a multitasker, like so many women, and I assume the women who are on this call. So we wear many hats and many roles, but most of all, I'd like to say I'm a child of God.
Okay, and you are a proud fellow. Real Black Women in Ministry 5 initiative.
Right, absolutely. I'm a proud fellow there. I'm the publisher and CEO of a company, but a proud fellow. I mean, that's really part of my calling, is to pour into other people. And so,
yeah, exactly.
I'm
like 40 years that we've known each other, but this is the first time we really kind of, in a sense, break bread together, because we've been doing ministry. So it's just good to be back together. Dr. Prelo, who are you?
I am Gertrude Linda Prelo's daughter and Gertrude Ford's granddaughter. I situate my story in that of my mother and my grandmother. But I am also an educator, a historian, a change agent, a movement maker. I'm a nurturer of people and organizations called to change for such a time as this. But above all, I am someone who understands the importance of where we have been in order to know where we are going. I'm a daughter, a nurturer, a change agent, a speaker, a business owner. But above all, I am who God has called me to be.
All right, and also in the Real Black Women in Ministry 5 initiative. All right, Dr. Crawford, who are you?
I am a mother. I am a wife. I'm a sister. I'm an aunt. I'm a planter of many ministries, including a 501c3 church. I'm a world traveler. I'm a multi-passionate person. I am a creator of greeting cards that have gone around the world. I used to be a children clothes designer. It is still in my heart. My designs exhibited as far as Paris, France, sold in Bloomingdale's and in Puerto Rico. So I am a creative. I am a nurturer. I am an apostle. I just love God. I'm a lover of God and a lover of his word. And I'm a member of the Black Women in Ministry
Thrive Initiative.
Thrive
Initiative as well. And the Black Chamber, Women's Chamber of Commerce.
Well, we're glad all of you. So now I'm a New Yorker. I'm a native New Yorker, Harlemite. So we would just put it in different language. We would just say, y'all are bad mamma jammas. Y'all are really, really great. And I am just so glad that we have this friendship. What do you do for fun? I'm trying to break the ice a little bit, because we know the public side of us. We know how we are conservative. We have great headshots. You have great headshots, by the way. You're conservative. You look great. What do you do for fun? Let's, like, 2 things you do for fun, Dr. Draper.
2 things I do for fun. I do them both with my husband. We love to listen to the music from back in the day, from the 60s and the 70s. And so for fun, we dance like we used to do. We've been married 47 years, so we dance like we used to do back in the day. So that's one thing. And we have a love for pinochle. So my husband and I, we love being in each other's company. And so those are 2 things we do for fun.
I love it. I'm a big whiz, and I put Alexa on. I tell her play some Motown classics, and I
That's
can do
right.
whatever I want. But I dance around my house and I clean whatever. But those are two things I like too. Dr. Palo, what do you do for fun? Because we've had a conversation. You have a lot of degrees. How many? About four,
Maybe about five.
five advanced
I think
degrees.
it's five. I have to go back and
Okay, so
count.
what do you do for fun?
Yeah, well, fun is one for not forgetting where I've come from. And the way I do that is by staying connected to my girlfriends, hanging out with my girls, and whenever I can to do a girls' trip, whatever that looks like for me in a COVID environment. And so fun is just celebrating the narratives. I'm a caregiver for my mom as she journeys through her own cancer journey. And so sometimes there's not a lot of time for fun. But what I have remembered is that relationships lead to fun moments. And so the DMV is my playing field. And so when I'm able to get out and to enjoy museums safely, that's what my fun is. It's just taking moments to have Selah, to breathe right where I am.
Awesome, and I'm in the area, so if you guys want to do dinner,
Yeah, let's do it.
it'll be on me. So, all right, Dr.
Yeah.
Crawford, what do you do for fun? Two things.
I love dancing. I love walking and anything paper crafting. I love it. So I'm always making cards and anything. People always expect to get a handmade card from me because I love anything that's paper crafting, and I love some of my favorite TV shows as well.
All right, so send me one of your cards because I know that they're beautiful because I've seen
Okay,
them.
will do.
Send me a card. Yeah, I just had a birthday. I won't even tell y'all the number, but I'm fine
Wow.
and fabulous and over 50. So we'll just take it there. So a lot of women don't know about the Black Women in Ministry Thrive Initiative. They're learning through these videos, and we hope that you'll continue to join us. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and give us a comment. And look for us on Wednesdays throughout Black History Month, sharing with many of the women who are part of this senior mentors of this Black Women in Ministry Real Thrive Initiative. Talk to us about this time being in this Thrive Initiative. What's it doing for you? We've met now 4 or 5 times. We've been together about 5 months. What does it mean to you, Dr. Draper, Dr. Crawford, Dr. Prelo? What does it mean?
This Black Women in Ministry Thrive Initiative is so critical, especially at this time. It has dual purposes for me. One, I get to fellowship with other senior leaders in ministry, which that doesn't happen, and especially not other senior female women in the ministry. And so we're being ministered to, while at the same time, each of us has a mentee that we are pouring into that person. And I'm a firm believer that you can't pour out unless you've got something already going on the inside. And so I'm grateful for the ministry that pours in, because I don't usually, I do a lot of pouring out, just like the other sisters on this call. We do a lot of pouring out, but we don't stand still. Usually, let me speak for myself. I don't often stand still and get poured into. So that's just a dual benefit. So it's a great initiative. And it's not one of those one and done. This is a 4-year commitment.
Yeah.
And it's a 4-year commitment. So I fully expect to grow myself, to thrive during this, and also to help a younger woman in ministry to thrive as well.
That's awesome. Dr. Crawford, what does it mean to you? Because you are all now the first generation that are all Black women senior mentors who have all Black women mentees. So you're able to shape not just a generation, but generations to come. What does this mean to you?
It means so much to me because it gives me the opportunity to fellowship with like-minded women, all of us being senior ministers. And that doesn't happen too often, that we can come together and you find out that you are not alone, that the things that you're going through and that you have on your mind, that they're going through the same things, so you can draw from one another and you can be refreshed and renewed. And I'm just so excited, and it's making me just be still, because I'm a doer and I always want to do, but this makes me be still, be refreshed, be renewed by like-minded women. And then to be able to pour into a mentee, that really excites me, because my mentee is a little mini me with the same skills and the same likes that I have. So it's just a joy knowing that I'm leaving a legacy for the next generation of women of color.
Thank you. And Dr. Prelo.
Yeah, the Black Women in Thrive ministry initiative is we are doing what has been done by Black women 100, 200 years ahead of us, and that is nurturing another generation of leaders. And so for me, I'm very passionate about equipping Black women to thrive in non-traditional spaces, and thriving in Reformed majority white denominations is a non-traditional ministry space, even though we have the Reverend Dr. Katie Janita Cannon, who have paved the way for me in multiplicity of generations. But I'm embodying that. My mentee is a Black woman serving in ordained ministry in an Episcopal church. She was actually just ordained 3 weeks ago. And so to know that this initiative has created space and communion for her is very important. But then beyond that, the importance of understanding that Black women have been called to a diversity of ministry contexts, traditional Black faith traditions, and ministries that we have started ourselves as church planners and the like. And so we really want to be able to create a model that we can then go out and mentor as a result of having experienced this initiative and endeavor. So again, it is just an honor to be a part of it. And I hope that even as we create a social witness ministry, that we'll leave a manual behind that chronicles our written history as well.
Well, she who speaks it must also initiate it. And so,
Amen. Amen to that. Yes. Amen to that.
We have been so excited to have you. We also want to thank the Women on the World Stage, who is also a sponsor of this. And we have a Givelify. If you want to help other Black women in generations to come, there's a Givelify button that will be there at the end. And we want to again thank the Lilly Endowment. We want to thank Too Blessed to Be Stressed, Thomas Nelson, and also Judson Press for the Sisters Guide to Survive and Thrive in Ministry, the Sisters Rules to survive and thrive in ministry. It has been a joy. I'm going to ask you to close with one statement, something that you wish they would know about Black women in ministry, because this is our narrative now. So if you were just speaking to those who may not know a lot about Black women in ministry, what's one thing you want them to know, being a Black woman in ministry, that's important to you? Dr. Prelo?
That our call to serve God knows no limits. It's not defined by the walls of a building, and our call to serve God is based on a heritage of a womanist being, meaning that when we answer the call to serve God, it's not just about self, but it's about transforming people, organizations, and commitments.
Ooh, Dr. Crawford, what's one thing you want everyone to know about Black women in ministry?
I would like for everyone to know that God has placed and invested so much in Black women that needs to be heard and shared. And that because of the struggles and the things that we've had to endure over the years, we are resilient, and that we are a mighty force to be reckoned with.
All right, we are forced and we're resilient and brilliant. Come on, Dr. Draper, closing word from you.
Black women in ministry are uniquely created by God to not only be nurturers, but also to be proclaimers of the word in a way that I believe reaches people where they are. And so this is not to say that men don't do the same thing, but it's something about Black women in ministry where we relate to, especially families, moms, we've been there. And so we are the ones that can break it down, not from what we think, but from what we know, because we've been a part of and are still a part of the journey.
I'm loving it. And I'm Reverend Dr. Ambassador Susan Johnson Cook. They call me Ambassador SuJay. It has been my delight to have you join us today for this Black History Special Series, the Real Black Women in Ministry Thrive Initiative of the Lilly Endowment. Again, we want to thank you for joining us. Be with us, stay with us, share it with us, subscribe to us, give us a thumbs up, but be with us every Wednesday during Black History Month. We're also going to be on Clubhouse on Tuesdays at 4 for those who have that new app, just talking with Black women in ministry around the world who want to be on and just have a discussion. So thank you for joining us. It's been my honor to be with you. God bless you, and really may God bless America.